So yeah, so we had a Beryl come through on Monday, actually early Monday morning. It made landfall at about 2 a.m. Monday Monday morning. Um, and for if my recollection is correct, it made landfall as a Cat 1 hurricane. Um, by the time it got up to us, it was earlier in the morning, maybe about 5 a.m. That's Northwest Houston. And when I tell you, man, the wind was whipping outside, it was crazy. But it's something that I've experienced before living here. I mean, tropical storms, hurricanes, isolated tornadoes is a very common thing here in Southeast Texas, particularly this time of the year with hurricane season. Um, Monday morning, but it was a fast moving storm. But I would say maybe by 7 in the morning, the storm had cleared us. So we were sort of on the backside of it at that point. Incidentally, the eye of the storm went right over the region where I live at, in Northwest Houston.
The eye is peaceful, right?
The eye is very peaceful. It's crazy. But it's freaking bananas. So you would think that you don't even have anything going on, especially if the eye is several miles wide. So the eye crossed over us, maybe about 7 in the morning, and in the back of the storm, it was just some light rain and it was still windy. So we was like, okay, cool. But then I was starting my day on Monday morning, and right around 7:30, the power goes out. 8 o'clock, the power goes out, which is to be expected. We know that's gonna happen. And then the power just stays out all day. It doesn't come back on until 3 o'clock.
And it's hot. It's super hot.
Oh, so here's the thing. Fortunately, because it was overcast skies all day, it wasn't that bad. So I think the high for us here in Houston, for most of Houston, was probably 80. It wasn't, which was really good for this time of the year.
Shit,
right? And that's just because of the overcast skies.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah. No, to y'all, it's hot, right?
Yeah.
80. So we got so storm passes, power is out, so there's nothing we could do all day. Power comes back on for us right around 3 o'clock. And then that's it, man. It just, everything just goes on for us at that point. Now the bad thing is that here in Houston, I mean, we're now 4 days past the storm and there's still people without power, and it's really hot now and humid. So
what's the degrees now?
It's right in the 90s. It feels like, depending on where you are, maybe low hundreds with the humidity.
Mercy, man.
So it's really tough going for a lot of people here in Houston right now. And this morning, the utility put out a message that said they were planning on getting as much as half a million more people restored today. But then there's going to still be a significant amount of people here in the Houston metro area that are likely to not have power restored until next week.
Shout out to those workers, man, to go out there and do a job that nobody else want to do, man, for real.
Yeah.
And shout out to everybody that doesn't have power, man. That you're able to, survive this, man. Because I can't imagine, man. Like people always say, like, all the time, like, yo, like, I don't know how you live in Michigan. Like, I hear y'all winters are terrible and snow and like all of this. And like, they say it from places that like have like legitimate like natural disasters. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, I can't imagine, man. Like we get hard thunderstorms here. We get, it gets hot here. We get 90-degree days. Sometimes we get 100-degree days, but that's kind of it. Like we might get a tornado, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. But like, that's kind of it, man. Like, and in the winter, it might get, 20 degrees, might get 10 degrees or something like that. But it typically doesn't last that long. And like, that's really it. Like, we don't have to worry about like a hurricane or like anything like just torrential, you know what I'm saying? That could really take you out, thankfully, man. So like, I guess every geographic location probably has their ups and downs, man. But like my hat goes off to people that live in like Houston or Florida or Louisiana and those different parts, man, that every year end up in the eye of some crazy ass hurricane, man.
Yes, it's crazy, man. The other thing too, Z, that I want to say about where you guys live at is yeah, you guys deal with, you have a couple of frigid days, or you might have a relatively extensive period of frigid weather during the winter time, but it's nothing that ever causes a power outage. You know what I mean? Really?
Happens.
So y'all have power outages. Okay.
Oh yeah.
With Detroit in particular, because our grid is old. Like Grand Rapids, like they'll have a power outage and it'll be on in like a couple hours. Like,
okay,
I don't know if y'all remember in 2008, and thankfully I wasn't here at the time, but Detroit, the grid went out in Detroit for like a week.
Wow. What part of the year? What part of the year was this?
I believe that this was summer. This was summer, thankfully, but the grid went out. In the winter, what happens oftentimes, man, is it gets cold. You know what I'm saying? And like old grids, old technology, like it just goes out. So it's not so much for the same reason that you get hit with like crazy weather, but it's a resource, you know what I'm saying, and an age of systems sort of thing here.
Yes, but the power outage for you guys is it a result of down power lines because of frigid weather?
Nah.
Out in Grand Rapids, it happens like that.
Okay.
It can get cold, like with the polar vortexes. You know what I'm saying? Something might get frozen and the power go out. You know what I mean?
And how long, in your experience, both of you guys in Detroit and in Grand Rapids, how long, if you've had to deal with a power outage, what's the longest?
To knock on wood, I only experienced one power outage, and that was only like an hour.
See? Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Right.
So and see that's the point I wanted to make is so Z, you make a good point about the the grid or the electrical system or the infrastructure being old and that possibly causing some issues. I know here in Houston it's not that old, but the shit is just fucking unreliable. You know what I mean? And being somebody that's not a native Houstonian, I wonder what is taking so long for the utility, which in this case, here in Houston Metro, the utility is Centerpoint, right? And I wonder why is it taking so long for them to figure something out that updates the electric grid or the infrastructure so that when these storms roll through, because it's inevitable just based on the part of the country that we're in. When they roll through, there's not there's something that
covers it, like that's like waterproof or something like that, or bomb.
Yeah, or just creating. Listen, there's a lot of innovation that can be done. A lot of technological resources that can be explored to help prevent power outages or certainly limit them. And I just don't see them doing it. It's just one of those things that we deal with every year. And, fortunately for us, we've never had to deal with power loss more than 8 hours or 12 hours or something. But there's people, man, that they just repeatedly, they deal without power for a week. So on a news report this morning, there's quite a bit of senior living homes or senior living facilities that they're dealing without power. So so we could put aside just the just being uncomfortable because you don't have AC and it's 100 degrees outside. But a lot of these people, rely on medical equipment to help them survive. You know what I mean? Or just to keep them going. So I don't know, man. There's a lot that needs to be done here. And every mayor says whenever they're appointed that they're going to do something about it and they're going to put, invest in it and nothing ever happens. You know what I mean? So
it ain't gonna happen.
Man, prayers up though, man. Prayers up to everybody that's suffering right now, man. And this the first one of the of the season. Hopefully it's a light season, but this the first one, man. So just prayers up, man, to everybody that's affected by any sort of natural disaster.
So let me ask you a question, D. Like, have you ever seen like physically a tornado?
Yeah, actually, we had a storm literally maybe 2 months ago. And I think the term that they're calling it, I didn't know it was actually a name for it. It was called derecho or something like that. That rolled through here. It was a very quick storm. And literally, like, the skies turned black, like black as I mean, it was ominous. It was ridiculous, man. And the rain was coming down so hard as well, and hail, that it was like people were literally coming to a standstill on the highway. Damn. Right. And then when we got off that, we were coming back from celebrating one of the kids, I think it was Cameron's graduation. We were coming back. We was his birthday. We were coming back. And on the highway, it started raining like that. We was able to get off at our exit. And literally, man, as I'm driving through subdivisions back to our subdivision, the roads are flooded, cars are stalled out. And luckily I have a pretty big truck that I could just get through it. But yeah, man, the shit is wicked, man. It's just crazy. There's a lot that needs to be done in terms of expanding infrastructure to deal with, to just have effective drainage measures, not to mention what we already spoke about, which is the electrical grid. So,
how common is it for like households to have generators and that sort of thing down there?
Very common here.
Okay.
Yeah, very common here. The thing is that most houses don't have a generator. And interestingly, Z, you bring up that's a good question, because now the news reports, and there's a lot of public announcements that are coming up on, or at least, people that live here in Houston via text message, that people need to be mindful about how they're using their generators, because there's been a couple of incidents of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh, wow.
Because people are using their generator because they don't have any electricity, and they're trying to keep their refrigerator running so that they keep whatever food they have fresh. Yeah. You know what I mean? And trying to run perhaps window unit ACs to get some type of reprieve from the heat. Yeah, the shit is just crazy, man. And the thing that fears me, if I'm being honest, is that we're very early in the season, in this season. It goes through the end of September, beginning of October. So if this is any indication, I don't know, man. I could tell you this: I'd rather be shoveling snow.
Yeah, I can see that. Because when the polar vortexes happen, you know what I mean? Like, as a bus driver, they expect us to still service the community. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing out here? You take your ass home.
Yeah.
Because the police say, they tell you that the police is not coming to help you if your car gets stalled out, that you should not be at home. You should be trying to get to work.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
I'll take a PPO in a minute. Like, nah, I'm good.
For the first time, I experienced it here, is that when we had the storm come through, they actually closed down Houston Metro, and they never do that. Never. So,
because out there, because y'all not equipped, like y'all really not equipped to take care of snow, right?
Nah. Let me tell you.
So if y'all get like an inch, y'all get an inch of snow, they'll shut the whole city down, right?
Yeah. Y'all get an inch of snow?
We haven't gotten. Yeah, no. A couple of years ago, we got an inch, and it was more like ice. We had just a couple of days of below freezing temperature. And with that, there was some precipitation, and it literally shut the entire city down just off of 1 inch and, some frozen precip. So, to Ock's point, yeah, we're not equipped for it at all.
Get the goddamn water. I'm sorry, fellas.
Yeah, that's on me. LA Dad. Yes, sir.
Yeah. It's Uncle Z and Uncle D.
What's good, y'all? Hey,
what's up? What's
good, nephew?
Hey, I'm gonna go back to my room for y'all.
What did he say?
You say you're gonna go back in his room before I yell at him.
Oh.